Welcome back to our Sales Fundamentals Masterclass. This is episode 2. So in the first episode, we discussed the importance of knowing and mastering your product or service. The acronym to take away from video 1 was SME, Subject Matter Expert. This video, though, is going to be all about knowing your competition. And when it comes down to knowing the competition, there are 4 core objectives that I want you guys to be able to walk away with. The first is understanding why competitor knowledge matters. The second is the types of competitors in the marketplace. The third is how to effectively gather intel. And the fourth is going to be how to put all of that together to go out and win more deals. Now, the first objective is to understand why competitor knowledge matters. When we're talking about understanding and knowing competitor knowledge, we're talking about knowing the different competitors, the different businesses, the different services, and the different products out there. When you have a full understanding, though, of your product or service and of all the competitors out there, it'll build your confidence. You'll be able to walk into sales calls with that swagger, that riz, because you know that you are the subject matter expert, the SME. It'll help you differentiate your product or service against the competition. It allows you to better anticipate and handle objections. And by doing all of this, by demonstrating all of this knowledge effectively, you become a trusted advisor in the eyes of that client or prospect. Remember, the whole goal is to demonstrate your knowledge without bombarding them. Ask them questions, handle objections, and when you're able to do that smooth and efficiently, then is when you come across as that trusted advisor. Understanding why competitor knowledge matters, to recap, it allows you to build confidence, differentiate your product, anticipate and handle objections, and you come across as a trusted advisor. Now, the different types of competitors out there. There are direct competitors, indirect competitors, and internal competitors. So let's break down these 3. A direct competitor is another business who either sells the same or a similar product or offers the same or a similar service. My first B2B sales role was at one of the largest payroll providers out there. Let's just say in the payroll space, there's ADP, Paychex, Paycor, Paylocity. Yes, there are more, but those are the easy 4, right? Paychex, Paylocity, ADP, Paycor. Those are all direct competitors. They're all selling a very similar service, which is payroll services. Indirect competitors are alternative solutions to whatever product or service you sell. In the payroll space, an alternative solution would be having your business CPA run payroll for you. It is not one of those businesses who are all trying to sell payroll services. It is something completely different that still allows that business to get payroll processed. Internal competition. Internal competition is really just the status quo, which is that business doing nothing. That business not buying any product or not buying any service. They're going to continue to do things the way that they've always done it. In the payroll space, maybe it was just paying employees under the table. Sure, that is a solution. It's not the best solution. When it comes to internal competition or the status quo, though, remember, your client or prospect would not be on the sales call with you if they were okay with the status quo. There's a reason that they are seeking out either guidance or seeking out solutions to whatever the situation is. Okay, so that was the types of competitors. Now, let's talk about effectively gathering intel on your competition. I'm going to give you 2. The first is online research. There's a plethora of resources online. You could go directly to your competitors' websites, check out what's there. You could go to their LinkedIn. You can connect with other people who work at that company and see if they've posted any announcements about their company, new features, new benefits. That'll allow you to gain some knowledge about what the competition is doing. There's also websites like Glassdoor and Reddit where people might be posting about their experience. All of this is giving you that competitive insight. So that's one way to get that intelligence. The second way, this is my favorite. I always go with the second option, which is just asking your clients or the prospects about their experience. In the payroll space, most businesses were processing payroll and they're coming to you for a reason. If they had a poor experience at another competitor, ask them about it. And don't ask them in a belittling way. You're not trying to badger the competition. What you're trying to do is understand the landscape. So questions that we would ask: why are you interested in our payroll service? Tell me about how you're currently doing it. What challenges did you face? What price point did you have? Were there any additional fees associated with it? You're just asking questions along the way. So we talked about how to research. Now let's talk about what you want to know. You want to know the features or the benefits that your competitors are offering. You want to know their pricing. You want to know their strengths and their weaknesses. And you're going to know what you're good at and what you're bad at. What is their target market? What's their target demographic? What's their sales strategy? And what are their customer reviews? At this point now, you're effectively gathering that intelligence. Again, my recommendation: there is nothing online that you can't find out by just asking every client or prospect that you sit with. So far, we've talked about 3 of the core objectives. We've talked about understanding why competitor knowledge matters, the different types of competitors, learning how to gather the intel, and now number 4, let's put it all together and use it to win more deals. Once you have all of this knowledge, you're going to be able to better differentiate your product, your service, or your company, because you're going to know all the competitors that are out there, and you're going to be able to speak to it on each point that your prospect or that your client brings up. You'll be able to more effectively tie your company, your product, or your service to the specific pain points of that customer. And when you're able to do that, now you're value selling. When you can talk about how you're going to solve that prospect's problems, how you're different than the competitor that they've been using, you can get away from this price conversation and into actually solving their problem. Let's put this together though in a real world example. So you'll remember from my first video, and if you haven't seen that video, check it out. I used a Pokemon card example, and because that's what I know pretty well, we're going to go back to using that example. So the card that I have here on screen is a PSA graded card. Let's say I work for PSA. Shout out PSA if you're hiring. Let's say I was going out into the marketplace and I wanted to partner with local game stores and be their referral partner. So when card collectors come in and want to grade cards, I want to be that game store's referral. That customer comes in and says, hey, I want to grade my cards. I've never done it before. How do I do this? I want them to have my contact information at the ready and pass that along to that end user. What I would do is ask the game store, though, what would they be looking for in a referral partner? What is important to their collectors? Is it resale value, turnaround time, brand recognition? Is it price? When I know my own product or service, or in this case, when I know my service and I know the competitor's services, now, as I'm asking these questions, I know exactly how to answer them and how to handle any objections that might come up. Let's say the card shop says the most important thing for a referral partner is for their card collectors to get very competitive pricing and resale value on the end, because they don't want to refer their collectors to a company who they're not going to be able to end up selling their cards from because they're not well known. Well, that one's easy. If I work for PSA is the most recognized grading company in the industry. Brand recognition and value go hand in hand. If they told me that they talked to competitor B, well, I can speak to how competitor B is a relative newcomer on the scene, and even though they're doing a lot of the right things, it doesn't make up for the fact that we've been in the industry for 50 plus years and consistently break records on card sales year in and year out. That's speaking to the resale value. Now, price. They say, I want to make sure my collectors are getting a fair price for their card grading. Okay, well, what price do they expect? What's expensive? What's inexpensive? Tie it back to the resale value. Let's say I'm $25 a card and my competitor is $17. Yes, I am at that point $8 more expensive per card. However, what's more important? Saving $8 or the value that they're going to get on the back end by going with my company as opposed to maybe that newcomer on the scene? I could speak to the fact that this card specifically in a PSA 10 sold for X amount more than my competitor's 10 because of the brand recognition. Let's say this card in a PSA 10 sells for $100, but in a competitor B10, it only sells for $75. Well, that's a $25 spread. Sure, they might have paid $8 more to get it graded by my company, but actually they made more money. And at the end of the day, isn't that more important than saving $8 up front? That's how you put all this together and win deals. My name is Brandon. Check out our next video. Thank you for subscribing to the Sales Armory.